Hi, welcome to RC Kicks. On today's show, well, this is part 2 of the WillSpeed models Fast Fox conversion for the RC10 B7. In the last video, I did a full unboxing of what you get in the kit, and I kind of put it to you whether I should just convert my current B7 or whether I should get another one so we can run a direct comparison. The video did rather well, so I thought, hey, I'd splash the cash, and that's what I've done. So I now have a second B7. Also, this has got a few WillSpeed models parts on it, which is what I've got on mine to bring them a little bit closer together. So in this episode, the plan is we're going to take the conversion kit, we're going to do a detailed build of it so that you can see what it takes to convert a standard B7 into a Fast Fox. Then we're going to paint up all the body, and then we're going to give it a bit of a test. So if that interests you, well, you better stay tuned. Right, let's have a look at this RC10 B7 that I picked up used. Now, it's not totally stock. It has had a few things change, but that kind of works in my favour. So if I remove the body, I clean this up a little bit. It was pretty manky when I got it, but I managed to fix it. It had a few cracks in it, so I've repaired it as best I can, but it's quite nicely painted, so it'd be a shame just to throw it away, even though I'm not really going to need it as it has its own body when we swap out the chassis. So the modifications to this one, as far as I can see, the front lower pivot block, that's been changed. It's a Team Associated one. Apart from that, it's got an extra weight in it. Also, the rear diff housing has been changed to the carbon composite grey version. Now, I can understand why this is done, as it's the same in my one. When these first came out, there was some issues with the rear diff housing all lining up, and it wasn't sandwiching properly. So going to this was a nice upgrade that you did back then. Obviously, if you buy one now, they're all fixed, and now we've got the B7.1 coming out, which has quite a few changes as well. Anyway, going to the rear of the car, we've got some WillSpeed parts, and the C and D blocks have been upgraded. Now, luckily, mine are exactly the same, so that's really good to see as well, as that means that this section is exactly the same on my car. If we take my one, the main difference that we've got is I'm running a short chassis, the dirt chassis, even though this is not the dirt car, because I go to my local track and it's very twisty, so I like to have more rotation, so I went to a shorter chassis. The other upgrades, the shocks, these are the upgraded shock houses. Now, I'm not going to do the same. They're just going to have to live with it. These are quite expensive, so I'm not fitting them. But realistically, down the line, as we progress the Fast Fox chassis, we're probably going to mess around with the shocks and springs and everything like that. Other things that have been upgraded on this one, these side plastic mounts, these are all the carbon composite ones. The diff housing has been changed just like the other one, and then round the back of the car just the same. The only difference, the rear hubs are in alloy where they're not on that one. The one I'm thinking of getting is the steering. I've actually got the steering upgraded on this one, and that does tighten up the front a little bit, whereas the second-hand one is just the plastic one. So I might do that. It's still about 50 odd pound to do that, but I think it would probably be advisable to do that. Rims and tyres are all going to be exactly the same. Disco discs, rims, and then the tyres I'll use will be exactly the same as what you see here, just brand new on both. One thing that is different that I probably will do down the line is I like a very sharp front end, and I have the upgraded carbon composite arms, and these are the stiff ones, whereas these ones that are on here are the kit ones. So if you flip them over, you can see they're a different colour. So I might do that down the line as well, but obviously I can't just keep throwing loads and loads and loads of money at it. Plus, the car might not, the Fast Fox chassis might prefer these arms to these ones. We just don't know. So there's no point me matching it all up and then changing stuff around later on when we really try and dial it in. But for the comparison video, I'd like to get it as close as I can. If you'd like more in-depth detail about the B7 and my progress with it, I've got many videos on this on the RC Kicks channel. So just search RC10 B7 RC Kicks in YouTube and you'll find loads of videos on it. How would you like to win one of these? Yes, a short wheelbase cat, never re-released, extremely rare, and this one is beautifully turned out with a load of upgrades. Full carbon top and lower deck, beautiful example that you could take racing as it has the modern slipper in it, or just to put it on the shelf and admire its beautiful lines. So if you'd like to win the chance to win this very expensive RC, well, now you can for the price of a coffee or a bar of chocolate these days. I'll put a link in the description or a 2D barcode up here. Head over there and get your tickets, as once this is gone, I don't think I'm ever going to get another one, as these are just super rare. And if you like the content in this video, well, it's these raffles that funds them, as they're super expensive to produce. Anyway, back to the show. Right, I think that pretty much covers the same things that you see between the two cars. So next we've got to rip out the chassis. I've already made a detailed unboxing video of the Fast Fox, so I'm not going to go into the detail again here. Just go over and check out that video if you're thinking about buying it and you want to see exactly what you get in the kit for your money. Now the Fast Fox manual is a digital version, so I went and printed it off, as I just find it's much easier to use a printed one versus using your iPad or your iPhone, as it constantly goes to sleep all the time and it just drives you crazy. Every time you go to look at it, you've got to log back in again, or you've got to use your retina to get back in again, and it's just print it off, go old school. It's just a better way to go. Yeah, stop rambling. You may have noticed we've moved on to step 1 already, where it's fitting the lower plate to the carbon chassis. Beautiful engineering, absolutely stunning. For now, it's just one bolt that holds that on, and then we move on to step 2, where we're fitting the side rails. And the side rails, looks like someone who does a lot of engineering got a little bit carried away. They are absolutely beautiful. It must take them ages to machine these up, and that's where a lot of the money for this kit is gone. You can see they are very complicated. Okay, now we move on to step 3. We're basically just putting more screws all along the side rails so they are attached to the carbon. I'm happy to report that all these screws are all exactly the same length, and I like that. Why? Well, when you're at the track and you have to work on your car, you don't have very long before your next heat, so you're usually rushing. It's also a lot harder when people are watching and it's noisy, so when there's lots of screws that are all the same, it means there's a less chance of you putting the wrong screw in the wrong place and causing an issue. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. We're now on step 4, where we're putting the carbon inlays in. Yeah, not only did they machine up these highly complicated parts, but they then recessed carbon into them. Lovely. Please note all the top bolts are all exactly the same length as well. What a surprise. Oh, just look at that. Now, if that's not RC porn, I don't know what is. Top fact, do you know that Loctite doesn't use air to dry? It's actually an anaerobic adhesive, which means it will only dry with the absence of air. Maybe someone could tell this idiot, because every time he puts some on a screw, he puts the cap back on. Oh no, I think he's finally realised. Anyway, concentrate, Gavin. That was step 5, fitting the rocker posts to each corner of the chassis rails. Did you see you put the Loctite cap back on again? Concentrate, this bit's really interesting. Now we're going to fit the rocker plates. This is where things get very different to what you're used to seeing. Now the alloy rocker pivots, they're all the same, so it doesn't really matter which one you use, but the rocker plates, they're different. The rears are much longer than the fronts, so make sure you get them the right way round.
Bloody gorgeous if you ask me.
Now we march on to step 7, where we're going to put the pivot arms onto the actual chassis. There's 2 bearings and a center crush washer. Ooh, lovely and smooth. Then we basically do exactly the same thing on all 4 corners. Step 8, building up the suspension links. And just like that, they're done. Well, in the magical world of YouTube. Being that they're all identical, it doesn't really matter which one goes on which pivot arm. On closer inspection, the donor shocks need to be serviced. So I had a look in the manual and I looked to see what spec they recommend to start off on. And obviously the pistons are 1.7 on the front and 1.8 on the rear. Turns out these are 1.6 in the front and 1.9. I don't have replacement ones, so the only thing I can do is change the oil. Now every 0.1 of the whole difference is you need to go up 50 CST to kind of balance it out. So that's what I'm going to do. Also, the manual says that if you've got them, to put the WillSpeed green springs on, which just by chance I happen to have from when I was setting up my B7. So I'm going to fit them for now, and then I'm going to adjust the shock oil to kind of match their basic setup. Off camera, I stripped down all the shocks and give them a good clean, and they did need it. Ideally, I need to order some new rubber gaskets to swap them out for brand new ones, but after a bit of love and TLC, they came back together fine. Now we can attach them to the chassis, and this is obviously what the chassis is well known for, as it's totally different to what you're used to. Straight away I can tell you that adding shocks to this chassis is easier and faster than the standard ones, which I like. If you're going to be changing out your oil and dialing it in, this is a much easier way to go. One thing they've done that makes life a little bit easier, on the back of the carbon arm, they've actually recessed it so it captures the nut. So as you're doing it up, it just holds the nut for you. Fancy. And just like that, we now have a rolling chassis. God, isn't it different? Look at the two of them. You wouldn't think they were basically the same car. Now we need to turn our attentions to cutting out and painting up the body, as well as I need to order a few parts. Turns out I don't have much paint, so we're going to have to pop to the local RC shop. Is it just me, but when I pop to my local RC shop, I forget what I was going there for and end up buying a load of other stuff that I didn't go there for. Also, I placed an order for a load of cool bits. Yes, I know, I can't help myself. And they arrived as well, so we're going to fit some upgrades to try and match it more towards the other car, as these are upgrade parts I have on my B7. And that's how I justified it to myself. My genius knows no bounds. I also bought the wrong front tyres, but that's a whole different story. Next, I've decided to scavenge my electronics out of my PR Racing PR SB401, as I have two sets of this with the servos, so I've got both. So that will save me having to spend more money, as I've already blown a load that I shouldn't have. So we've got to take it out of this. Also, I broke this car a good few months ago now, so I might as well fix it, as I'm going to sell this one on. Now we've finished that little bit of housekeeping, we can turn our attentions to removing the electronics. This shouldn't take too long, it's very easy to work on this car. Now you would think a chassis swap project like this wouldn't take very long, but if you're using a donor car, well obviously you've got to fix all the issues with that one, like sorting out the suspension. Then you also got to scavenge the electronics from something else if you haven't already, so all that adds up and burns all your time. This ended up taking me days. Now that we're getting close to finishing the chassis, we can turn our attentions to the body. Now the eagle-eyed of you are going to notice that the electronics seems to have disappeared from this shot. Well, what I tend to do to try and save some time is while I'm fitting all the electronics, I'm actually doing the body at the same time, painting it up, doing each layer, coming back to the car. But obviously when I'm trying to tell a story like a video like this, it's logical to the viewers to see it as a progression so that the body comes afterwards instead of chopping back and forward. Continuity, yeah, we don't employ anyone for that. Unfortunately, the kit doesn't come with any window masks, so you've got to make your own. So the easiest way to do it is to put some masking tape on the outside, draw around the edge, then transfer it onto a fresh bit, then cut it out as closely and detailed as you can, and then put it on the inside. Now there's a clever old stick called Rob Scott who makes these under trays for the Fast Fox. So being that it's got such a gorgeous carbon chassis on it, I thought I'd protect it, and he sent me one. So I'll put a link in the description if you've got a Fast Fox and you'd like to add one to yours. Now I'm totally winging it, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I thought I would just mask off towards the lines of the body that's got the top and the lower section. It's a very funny looking body. Well, the cab is very traditional, but the rest of it down the sides is all higgledy-piggledy. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but we're just going to wing it. I've cut the front section of the under tray, so I'm just going to round off all the edges, and then I'm going to paint that. Being that I might end up changing the body as there's a few different bodies coming out for this car, I'm going to do the bottom just a gunmetal grey, and then I'm going to paint the top a very vibrant colour. But then if I end up changing the body, I might end up changing the colours as well, so I don't want to match the under tray to the body at the moment. As I may be changing this body, I thought I would go for it. So I always wanted to try some splatter marks, so I tried it and it was okay. I'm not going to tell you how I did it, as I wouldn't recommend doing it this way, but it came out okay. I wanted it being a racing buggy to be very vibrant and full of colours, so I picked some random bright colours, and this is what I ended up with. So after many days, I now have a buggy ready for the track. Well, almost. I don't have a servo horn. I've ordered one, it hasn't arrived. I fitted everything else and it's all alive and it's all working. So it's just itching to get it to the track. But there is still more to do first, apart from fit the servo horn. As for the B7, well, I've got to strip all the electronics out of this and swap it over to the same Corsa so they both match. Same servos, reef servos, same receiver, same transmitter, same batteries, same ESCs, same motors, same pinions. Same tyres in the same condition, so I've got it as close as I can do. Now the B7 has been dialed in over time at my local track, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get the Fast Fox up to the same aspect, as a lot of it has just got to be done with the tuning. The front does feel a bit soft, so I'm going to, off camera, going to change the oil in the front shocks as well, make it a little bit stiffer, as I want the front to be quite sharp. I love a sharp car, as well as buy new front tyres, as these are the wrong ones. I probably will try these anyway, just to see what the difference is in lap times, but hey, we'll just have to wait and see. So in the next episode, the plan is to fit all the B7 electronics to match, then take it to the local track and give it a bit of a blast. Also, I'll see if I can do some weight comparisons. I'm not sure about whether I can actually test the centre of gravity to be precise enough. Yes, I could make a jig with a protractor and then you tip it up until it falls over, but I don't know whether we're going to see a degree or so more. So I don't think it's too precise for me to actually show that. But the two buggies do feel roughly the same weight. We will weigh them in the next video to see which one is heavier once all the original electronics that are matching are in both cars. So after quite a good few days work and a lot of editing, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give us a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next one. Bye bye.